Okay, the council is still in session, and as soon as it breaks, I expect the other members to participate in the committee meeting, but I'd like to move forward with item number 1.
Item number 1 is Resolution Garcetti, Rosendahl, Krikorian, and a CLA report in response to it.
Did you say a revolution or a resolution?
Resolution.
Oh, resolution.
Sorry. On the city's legislative actions as they pertain to the rights of corporations and specifically with the constitutionally protected speech that they have in campaigns. My name is Charles Modica. I'm with the CLA's office. We recently submitted a report in response to this resolution which recommends its adoption. The resolution itself is in support of any legislative action that would ensure that corporations are not entitled to the rights of human beings with regards to spending money to influence election results. The resolution is in response to a Supreme Court decision from last year, the Citizens United versus the FEC. This decision found that corporations cannot be forbidden from making independent expenditures on political speech. The court ruled that the U.S. Constitution does forbid laws that restrict political speech by associations of individuals, and it included corporations as an association of individual. The ruling does allow for disclosure requirements on corporate-funded political speech, so there can be notice requirements that says this advertisement or piece of speech was funded by whatever corporation funds it. In response to this decision, last year there was a congressional bill introduced. It was H.R. 5175, also known as the Disclose Act, that would have banned foreign-owned corporations from making political contributions in the U.S., would have prevented TARP loan recipients from making contributions to campaigns, and would have created various other nationwide disclosure and transparency requirements on corporate spending. This bill did pass the House last year, but failed to get a vote to end debate in the Senate. We're not aware of any similar pending legislation at the federal level, at least as of last week. Because the Supreme Court decision does clearly state that corporations are entitled to First Amendment constitutional protections, the only way that we can see to reverse the decision would be a constitutional amendment or a subsequent Supreme Court decision that reverses the Citizens United case. This resolution would support either action, and it would also support legislation like last year's Disclose Act that had those various requirements on corporate spending. The cities of Richmond and Oakland in California have adopted similar resolutions that call for a constitutional amendment.
Is the CLA aware of the action submitted by Congressmember Udall, Senator Udall, excuse me?
I have not seen it, no.
Okay, I believe it addresses the issue exactly as you described Congress would need to. In any case, I would like to ask the CLA to, assuming this matter moves forward, to be informed on. We don't have a bill number yet, but I understand the Senate is going to be introducing a version 2.
Sure, we'll look for that, and as we look at it, I'm reasonably certain that as it's written, the resolution could support that as well. But if you'd like anything more specific, we can put that together for you.
Yeah, if there is a bill that captures the essence of this resolution, we would like to be able to name it specifically.
We will look into that
before we decide in council. Okay, with that, I'd like to move on with the public comment. We do have 35 cards, so I'm going to have to limit everybody to 1 minute. I would appreciate it if you try not to duplicate everybody else's speech. Just say ditto or something, and say something new and creative and different, and we'll all have a good time. Okay, Mary Beth Fiedler. After Mary, we have Barry Levine. And after Barry, we have Daniel. Daniel
Lee.
Daniel Lee, yes, thank you. Mary Beth?
Okay, hi. First, I want to thank the City Council for all the amazing work that you've done for the City of LA. And I want to applaud Council Members Garcetti and Rosendahl for introducing the resolution. But I also want to advocate that we expand the resolution to call for an end not only to corporate First Amendment rights, but for an end to all corporate constitutional rights, and to clearly establish that only living human beings are endowed with constitutional rights. And secondly, that money is not the same as free speech. As corrosive as the Citizens United decision is, it's merely the most recent example of the pernicious doctrine of corporate personhood or corporate constitutional rights. This doctrine has allowed corporate lawyers to have courts overturn democratically enacted laws, including environmental protection laws, worker safety laws, public health laws, and a myriad of other laws, and Citizens United is just the most recent and blatant example of this. The reason we're calling for a constitutional amendment is because we understand that Citizens United, for the first time, explicitly established this doctrine of corporate personhood, and that even if we pass laws, that basically they'll be overturned by the courts. So a recent ABC poll established that over 80% already oppose corporate personhood in the United States across the political spectrum. And just yesterday, Boulder, Colorado passed it. There are many cities that passed it. So I just want to call for the city of Los Angeles to be the first major city, although I just heard Oakland did it, but the first major city to pass a resolution that calls for the revocation of all corporate constitutional rights.
Okay. If I can ask you a question.
Yes.
Are you saying you would support an amendment that added language that said, whereas corporations are not mentioned in the Constitution and the people have never granted constitutional rights to corporations, nor have we decreed that corporations have authority that exceeds the authority of we, the people? And a section that says, whereas money affects the quality and quantity of speech and is not in itself speech, and allowing corporations with great wealth to use it as speech effectively drowns out the protected free speech of the people of our diverse society. And an amendment that adds to the now therefore be resolved section, line 3, the federal and state legislative programs support for a constitutional amendment and other legislative actions ensuring that only human beings, not corporations, are endowed with constitutional rights, and that money is not speech, and therefore regulating the expenditure of corporate money to influence the electoral process is no longer a form of constitutionally protected speech. Is that what you would support?
Exactly. That's what I want. Go for it. Okay, that would make me very happy.
I'm so good at interpreting.
Thank you.
The comment.
I love it.
Barry Levine.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Barry Levine. I'm the Education Chair and the board member of the South Robertson Neighborhoods Council, and I am here to ask you for a stronger resolution than the one that was put before us, more in line and with the intent of the resolution passed by the South Robertson Neighborhood Council, which reads, the South Robertson Neighborhoods Council recommends a non-binding resolution to amend the United States Constitution, denying personhood and its rights to corporations and stating that money is not equal to free speech. And I would hope that the City Council would get ahead of this wave and lead on this issue. Thank you.
Okay, can you get the language to Sarah, please?
Yes, I can.
Daniel Lee. After Daniel, we have Timolyn Burke, and then Mimi Kennedy.
I'd first like to
Daniel.
thank the City Council for considering this issue at all, and I applaud the fact that the resolution was put forward and is now in committee. Though I will say, from what we've seen in America in the last few months, through the Occupy Wall Street movement, Occupy Los Angeles, Occupy Oakland, and all the Occupy movements around the world, we do have a crisis in this country, and it's a crisis of economic inequality. That fact has been bared out in the protest and in the statistics quoted by economists on the left and right. But one of the things that I think gets lost in the shuffle when we talk about merely economic inequality is the fact that economic inequality equals democratic inequality if money is not speech, is not included in any constitutional amendment we put forward. That's all I really have to say.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Timolyn Burke.
I agree with everything that's been said before. I do want to underline the fact that corporations have been given rights, whereas they instead ought to be given privileges, which really focuses on the fact they're not human beings, and rights for the Constitution should be vested in human beings. There's another.
Are you saying you have a problem with Coca-Cola voting for president?
Exactly, and unless that Coca-Cola can be arrested, it's a fiction. It's a legal fiction that has gone to its ad absurdum at this point. One very, very important thing that I want to add regarding elections and money and all that stuff, if you have a corporate board that has members who are citizens of other nations, then the fictionhood of personhood with constitutional rights to affect United States elections is flawed. And so that's the basic thing, is that there's foreign influence embedded within this wrong-headed decision.
Thank you. Mimi?
Yes, hi, I'm here in support and to thank the council. It's very exciting. It sounds like you don't need any arguments to buttress the new language.
You never know.
But I was going to say, Jim Hightower said something interesting. A corporation isn't a person until one's been executed in Texas. Other people have said persons have belly buttons and they're not persons. And another friend just said, I, for instance, as an actress, am an S corporation. So does that mean that I have 2 votes or 2 free speech? You know, how does that affect those of us who are corporation as well? So it doesn't, as I say, sound like you need a lot of buttressing. Thank you so much for this resolution. I support the new language that you read out earlier.
Thank you. Vlad Popescu, Diane Hart, and Jason Rosencrantz. Vlad? Okay, is Vlad here? Are you Vlad? Okay, go ahead, Vlad. Jason Rosencrantz. Okay, go ahead, Vlad.
I've come here to support the resolution against Citizens United and demand that the City Council continues the fight and denounce corporate personhood outright. We live in fictitious times, and I realized that best when I was working for one of America's largest corporations, AT&T. I was there for 3 years. During that time, I was bombarded by corporate emails that were propaganda. These emails were being decried by independent journalists and by research papers of university professors that were directly contradicting these messages. Furthermore, I was also turned into a scab when there was a labor strife, where the corporation was taking health benefits away from the union members. I was forced to take wiring courses and learn how to keep the phones going in case that the union would have gone on strike. So it is important that we push back against these invisible hands, because these hands will push us against the wall. And once a people has nothing to lose and has its back against the wall, we don't know what can happen, and it is your job to make sure that we don't get to that point.
Thank you. Diane Hart?
Yes, I'm in favor. I think that there should be a litmus test for personhood. Generally, a litmus test for personhood that's a really easy one to do is you prick a human, they bleed. You prick a corporation, they don't bleed. That's all.
Jason Rosencrantz.
Yes. My name is Jason Rosencrantz. I am a participant in the Occupy movement here in Los Angeles. And according to my understanding, the central problem of our political order is that private corporate institutions have surpassed public democratic institutions in wealth and power to the extent that they can buy legislators and legislation. This is exemplified by the fact that no one can achieve federal office without corporate sponsorship. Fortunately, the motion now under consideration shows that city legislators, at least, are still free from the dark clutches of corporate power, which, as we all know, are motivated exclusively by private profit. So I support the motion, particularly in its strength and form, according to the language that was introduced by Mary Beth and moved to amend. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Cheryl Eichley, Jennifer Epps, and Sarah Pillsbury. Cheryl?
Yes. Thank you very much. My name is Cheryl Eichley. I'm a citizen in District 4, and I think the issue that we're dealing with goes far beyond Citizens United. The decision that was made by the Supreme Court. We are dealing with corporations who do influence, like previous speaker said, our political process. The Citizens United decision focuses on whether or not Citizens United could play a movie called Hillary the Movie, a documentary against Hillary Clinton in the 2008 elections, and they were able to get permission to play this movie 30 to 60 days before the election, which was prohibited before that. The issues that we're dealing with, I hope we can go a lot further in here and talk about limiting more than just campaign finances. This doesn't focus on that. It focuses on independent expenditures for media related. So I hope we can focus on stopping some of the media related funds for the corporations. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Sarah, hi.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi,
I
Sarah
think
Pillsbury.
Jennifer was first.
That was Jennifer, yeah.
Oh, that was her. Okay.
You're Jennifer. Oh, you're Jennifer. Then she's.
I think I'm next.
She's Jennifer. You're Jennifer?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you're first.
Sorry.
Hello. I'm here today because I want to stop climate change. I want to protect drinking water from gas and chemicals released by hydraulic fracking. I want American workers to be safe on the job, because no one should die in America from lack of health insurance, because our public institutions and infrastructure are underfunded while the U.S. military budget diverts an enormous amount of resources away from domestic needs. And I know that my opponents on each of these issues are powerful corporations. In order to win every debate that concerns them, corporations have been trying to steal our rights from us for decades. They've claimed rights that were meant to protect individuals from abuse by powerful entities, rights that only natural persons who are subject to hunger, pain, imprisonment, and death need. Rights that artificial persons able to subdivide, switch identity, change citizenship, and live forever do not deserve. If we don't add a constitutional amendment stipulating that these rights do not apply to corporations, they will continue to take our governments to court and overturn even more laws that are intended to protect the public. Thank you. I support the resolution.
Sarah?
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here today and hear these tremendous opinions in support of this resolution, which I too support. I also wanted to remind people who may forget that 7 years ago today, November 2nd, 2004, was the presidential election Gore versus Bush. When Justice Stevens retired, he stated that he believed the Supreme Court should have not overruled the Florida court. Addressing one of the issues before us today, he said, "Money isn't speech. Can you hear it talk? Can you read it? It's one of the things that makes speech possible." He went on to say it was his personal opinion that there is an interest in trying to have any debate conducted according to fair rules. Both sides should have an opportunity to express their views. In hearing arguments in this court, we certainly wouldn't have given someone a little more time because they paid higher fees to hire their lawyers. Sadly, Stevens, I believe, came a little late to this opinion, and it certainly wasn't shared by the majority of the court. So it's imperative upon the citizens of this country and other bodies of government, like the City Council, to come out and stand for the rights of individuals. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen? Eleanor Goldfield, Marcy Levine, Linda Paleri. Okay, thank you. That was a very good speech. Marcy, and then after we have Ray. Is it Roy or Ray?
I think
Komodo.
I think you marked her as Eleanor, but I'm Eleanor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem.
Eleanor. So who was first?
Me. I'm not sure who that
Go ahead.
lady was. Well, I would like to second what that woman said and said ditto, but I'd like to add on to that. Money does talk, but it should not govern. An entity whose sole purpose is to make money by law cannot and should not govern. And just to go beyond the Citizens United, which deals with the First Amendment, if we're discussing all personal amendments, let's go ahead to the fourth, search and seizure. If we can't get people in to make sure that regulations are being followed, then what's the point of having these said regulations? And then let's go even further beyond that, the Fifth Amendment. Let's say that you do regulate them, and because of faulty operation, they lose property. Well, according to the Fifth Amendment, then we have to compensate them for that. Going on to the 14th Amendment, let's say then that because of all this, we don't want them around. Well, that's really too bad, because they have the right to erect cell towers, chain stores, and the right to oppose taxes that would favor, let's say, local Los Angeles businesses over multinational corporations. So this goes far beyond Citizens United because all of these amendments are intertwined. Just as they are intertwined for us people, they are intertwined for corporations. So I support that resolution and the proposed amendments to it.
Thank you. Linda?
Marcy.
Marcy, okay. I think Linda,
Linda's the one that.
you said ditto, okay. Go ahead, Marcy.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank you very much for bringing this proposal. I think that it is a fabulous proposal, and I also urge you to go further. I believe that the majority of Los Angeles would like this to go further, and in order to represent the people, that this resolution should be, as most have said here, against any personhood, any rights being from the Constitution affording to corporations. As we have in the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. And I don't believe that we would agree that corporations deserve all of those same rights and those same privileges.
Thank you, Roy.
I think all we really need to know about the reasonable rights of corporations is summed up in the legal term referring to them as fictitious persons. And I believe that's only logical that the same document that establishes the right to free speech in this country, namely the Constitution of the United States of America, should also state that only real persons have this right. And I just want to add a correction, if you didn't get it, for the suggested rewording for the resolution that you read. In the next to the last line, the phrase, and therefore regulating the expenditure of corporate money, regulating should be deleted so that the phrase would read, and therefore the expenditure of corporate money to influence the electoral process is no longer a form of constitutionally protected free speech.
Yeah, that changes quite a bit. Oops. Okay, let's. Okay, Antonio Ramirez, Davis Fletcher, and Tom Camarella.
My name is Doris Fletcher. I'd like to ditto what Mary Ellen spoke about, so I'm in favor of that motion, resolution.
Thank you, Doris. Antonio Ramirez. Okay, I don't know where she is. Tom Camarella. We have, wow. It's somebody Carey. Paul. Paul, come on. Okay, Sylvia Moore. Okay, Tom. Oh, Antonia's first.
Thank you very much.
First.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Item number 1 states that the city's position on the ensuring corporations are basically protecting the rights of the human beings and are constitutionally protected speech, though should not be regulated, as it states in the First Amendment. Thus, who is ensuring that the LA City is held accountable for all its double standards, censorship, human rights, civil rights, UNRRA civil rights, and constitutional rights are being protected, especially when Dennis Zine, city attorneys, and other LA City Council politicians are in unison trying to regulate all dissenting speech, primarily by me, because I'm not a two-bit hustler. I'm not pandering to the illegal criminal aliens and gangbangers. I'm not a schmoozer. I came with clean hands. I don't take any shortcuts. I'm a civilized dissenter and a Mexican nerd, and I'm not a phony status quo member. And I don't make a bloody penny, because it's all about principle, which is crucial element for a powerful, successful, and great leader, i.e., ex-mayor of Anaheim, the Honorable Kurt Pringle. And I guess my time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tom Camarella.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Paul Carey and Sylvia Moore.
First, I thank the council for having the courage of taking this up. That's number one. Number two is no matter what you brought up that would limit their power, they're going to fight it. So we might as well go for the gusto and go for the best one. And the one that you so ably understood from Mary Beth, that's a good one. Because the majority of the people in this room want to prohibit all political activity by corporations. Is that correct, folks? Yes. They want corporate mergers and prohibit corporations from owning stock in other corporations. Is that correct? Yes. They want to revoke corporate charters by popular referendum. Is that correct? Yes. They want to stop advertising for tobacco, guns, and other dangerous products. Is that correct? Yes. And they want to require labeling of genetically modified foods. Is that correct? Yes. I think we got the point. Thank you.
Paul Carey.
Thank you. My name is Paul Carey, a business owner here in Los Angeles, and I want to thank Council Members Garcetti and Rosendahl for creating this. This has gone on too long. We have to take control of this. I hope that this process results in action on the part of the council in LA that will be recognized in our state government, and we will get to work on a process that ensures ultimately that legislation will be enacted. Let's do it. Start in our own backyard, start locally, and let it grow. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I also want to thank Council Members Garcetti and Rosendahl for bringing forth this resolution, and I also urge the Council to strengthen it. My name's Sylvia Moore. I live in View Park, but I'm also a stakeholder in the City of Los Angeles. Corporations are property, and they are not persons. Therefore, they are not entitled to constitutional rights. Corporations want all the benefits of persons, but none of the liabilities. For example, we don't put corporations in prison for committing crimes. Corporations have taken over our society. They are deciding what we eat, how people educate their children, whether or not people receive health care. They are polluting our environment. They even refuse to pay their fair share of taxes, even though they use most of the commons, and they're even trying to determine who gets to vote. We the people have lost our ability to self-govern. We need to take back power for the people. Fully participating in the political process shouldn't depend on the size of one's wallet. Please strengthen this resolution to include that corporations are not persons and money is not speech. Thank you.
Jeremy Hyde, Julie Levine, and Joyce Brody. Jeremy.
All right. Well, I'm not going to waste any time on other people to speak, so I'll just say thank you very much, and I'm going to change my speech. And basically, I work in climate change and kind of the green power business for many, many years, and basically the science says it's not politicized. It says we have to reach certain targets or else. It cannot be changed, and I cannot change what we're doing as a country because of corporate power, because of corporate money, and all the other rights they enjoy. Until we get off oil, natural gas, and coal, we all know what the consequences of major climate change is. So my grandpa helped actually design most of the dams in the Northwest. He was on the public works projects during the Roosevelt era. I call them the hardware generation because they built things. It was hardware, it lasted. It's what we've run off ever since. My parents were unfortunately the software generation. And then my generation is the apps. And I used to make fun of my sister as maybe the Twitter generation. But it looks like because, Egypt and everything's going on today, then they might be the ones that brings about a new hardware generation. We need public works. We need to build solar and wind all over the country. You can't ship jobs that create photovoltaics on people's roofs overseas. These are jobs you can't export. We can create 18,000 jobs in LA. So thank you.
Okay. My name is Julie Levine.
Okay, he was for the proposal. Julie and Joyce.
Okay. My name is Julie Levine. I want to thank the City Council for introducing this resolution. I agree with the amendments, including changing regulating, because that actually works against us to say we shouldn't be regulating. I do want to say that I would love to see the City Council take a specific step forward in saying in this resolution that they would like to work with other cities across the nation to work toward a constitutional amendment. And And the other thing I would like to see, which is probably a little more thorny, is I'd like to see the city council set an example by not accepting corporate donations.
Hi. Wait.
May I have your attention, please? This is the Office of Public Safety. We are testing the PA system. This is only a test. May I have your attention, please? This is the Office of Public Safety. We are testing the PA system. This is only a test.
Okay, Julie.
I'm Joyce.
Oh, Joyce, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm glad. What was that? I'm glad we're safe.
Yes, so far.
I don't feel totally safe, though, I'll tell you. I agree, and I want to thank you for bringing this up at the city. But I don't want to be totally overly dramatic, but it's only our democracy that's at stake. It really is. I met with one of my representatives, who shall be nameless, because as I was going out, he said, "Don't tell anybody I said that." So I shan't. I have not told anybody he said that. I do honor my promises. But he said, you asked about donations. I have brought up a lot of issues. He said, do you understand there are some districts in Los Angeles that have a lot of wealth in them? And the people running for office can go to those people and ask for money and be supported. But there are districts in our city and in our state that do not have a lot of money. The population does not have a lot of money. They just can vote. And so those people have to go to corporations to get funded. That's, I had never thought of that before. It's very shocking to me. It's just our democracy that's at stake. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Eleanor Kirby, Emily Melhorn, and Julia Russell.
I just know that corporations have changed things a whole lot for their benefit, allowing them to be in the media, to own newspapers, to have radio stations, to be in oil, to be everywhere, and I know the word bribery has never been used, but I know that our politicians are taking money from these corporations, and laws are being changed for their benefits. It seems to me there's some little bribery going on, and it just seems to be the established way of doing business in our country, which does not sound like democracy. Thank you.
Emily?
Actually,
Oh, are you? Yeah, that was
really,
Eleanor, right?
anything I would have said has already been said better than I could have said it.
Well, you didn't say it.
And so I just want to thank the council very much for taking this up and moving this forward. I feel it's the most critical issue that we're facing today. So thank you.
Thank you. Julia?
Hi, I'm Emily. I wanted to thank you as well for proposing the revised language to the resolution, and I support that. And I want to say that remember all of us who are here today who have spoken about this, all of the people outside, that this is going to be a long fight. And while this resolution is a wonderful start, it's going to be a long battle. And it's good to know that you guys are taking the steps necessary and that you continue to fight for us. Thank you.
Tony Ahrensberg, Suzanne Griffin, and Charles Travis. Tony.
Hi. I'm sorry, I don't see well.
Neither do corporations.
Thank you. Okay. Anyway, I'm very proud to be here. I'm very proud to live in Los Angeles, this city, most international and diverse city in the country, taking this stand against this corporate personhood contradiction. which benefits only large corporations to be able to suppress small business and be able to stand between real persons, and which I am one, and my elected representatives. So that's you guys. I am your client, and I trust that you're going to take care of me in this regard. Not only am I here today, I represent members of my family who have lost pretty much everything, homes, medical care. So I appreciate your help in taking care of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne?
Yes. Hi, my name is Suzanne Griffin. I agree with everything that other people have said. I want to thank the City Council for taking up this issue. And someone else also said this, but the reason I think that this is so important, there are many people who have interests in many different areas: climate change, health care, GMO foods. All these different issues come to the same thing. It's corporate power that limits our ability to change all these things. And if we change this aspect, then it will help many, many other areas in the society that need to be changed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chip Travis. I'm the Los Angeles coordinator for MoveOn.org. And I'm a regular participant in Occupy LA. I participate in the Objectives and Demands Committee. And I can say that support for a constitutional amendment is rising exponentially as people become educated. They realize that 99% of the issues of the 99%ers are caused by money and politics. They realize that it's caused by a government for auction, and the only way to cure this is with a constitutional amendment. And that's the only way to restore democracy to the 99%ers. Citizens United has amplified government by auction in ways that are unimaginable. I saw a list of committee chairmanships and how much it cost each elected official to secure a chairmanship and political donations. 94% of the time, the candidate with the most money wins. They spend 40% of their time fundraising, time that could be spent legislating with constituents. I'll end it there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pamela Clay Magathon, and Julie, or I think it's Julie Kronheim, and Bob. I'm not sure. I think it says loose. I don't think it says that, but that's the closest I can come.
Loose?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Wouldn't you know? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak today and for having put forth this resolution. I happen to agree with Mary Beth Fielder and Barry and many of the others who have spoken that it would be wonderful to not only just have the First Amendment rights be revoked for corporations, but as well as all the other rights. There was another young girl that spoke about all the individual amendments. I agree, and so ditto. Thank you very much.
Julie?
Yep, I'm Anjali Kronheim, the Los Angeles organizer with California Common Cause. I would say ditto to all that's been said. We would absolutely support the measure with from Councilmember Garcetti and Rosendahl, and I believe Krikorian signed it too. We would also expand the expansion that was suggested today. But further, Common Cause would note that money is not speech and that campaign finance rules aimed at leveling the playing field so that all citizens, regardless of wealth, have an equal opportunity to voice their opinions, should be upheld as constitutional. We look forward to working with the Council in the months ahead to further articulate these values through the Council and ideally give voters themselves an opportunity to directly convey their sentiments on this topic to their members of Congress and the state legislature. And I don't know if it's been said, but it's important to note that yesterday the city of Boulder actually passed a resolution to reverse Citizens United as well, and that was supported by 74% of the population. So we could do the same thing here.
Bob?
Yeah.
That'd be you.
First of all, Councilman Alarcon, thank you for doing this. It's you who got us here. No, it's not Garcetti or Rosendahl, it's you. You did this. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. And next, I would implore the council to include the suggested amendments because it adds specific implications that corporate personhood ultimately corrupts the democratic electoral process. You need that in the resolution. You really need it. Next, the most important act the council can take is to support a I'll wait.
No, I was just asking.
Okay. Is to support a constitutional amendment to end this clever ploy by the ruling 1% of our culture to keep its power over the rest of us, the 99%. And lastly, the next most important act by the council is to excise the words entirety of from this resolution. It implies corporations do still retain some human rights. They don't. Get rid of entirety of, as in support the legislative actions ensuring corporations are not entitled to the entirety of protections or rights of human beings. Get rid of it.
That's the original.
Ensuring corporations are. Huh? It's out?
Yeah.
Never, as Rosanna Dana would say, never mind.
I remember. Thank you. Okay, I'm not sure I'm reading this. Svan or O'Keefe? I can't read it. Michael Evans and Suzanne Warren.
Thank you. Yes, I had a ditto as well. I believe everybody has said wonderful things today. For the first time in our history, it seems to me that our government system is now contained within the economic system instead of the other way around. And I don't think that that's right. I don't think it's healthy for democracy because we have an economic system that has clearly demonstrated that it has little regard for the communities or the people. They are only used for their own benefit to serve their profit motive. And they make laws via their influence that suppresses competition and technology that could solve many of our problems. They obstruct the will of the people to label food and protect its own environment. But here we have a chance to do something bold, as you said in council session a few weeks ago. This is an opportunity for Los Angeles to do something bold and to set a strong model for the rest of the country to follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
Yes. Hello, my name is Michael Evans. This is my first time ever to come into City Hall. I've been working online with a ubiquitous group of far more than 25,000 people. I shouldn't say group, I should say I've been trying to connect with people and educate them because I'm a man who has grown up from a young age loving the Constitution, believing that the Supreme Court would be just, and I cried myself to sleep when I saw the news that day. And I couldn't understand why people on the day of Citizens United weren't protesting in the streets already. I'd like to speak quickly now about my point. Look around the room. These people, normally we say 1 equals 5 or so. I guarantee that each one of these faces represents at least 1,000 to 10,000 people, easily. And I say that because I'm on the internet every day. I'm talking to people that are moderates, Republicans, and who are Democrats. I'm a moderate myself. I voted in every kind of, this is not a partisan issue, my friends, it's not. And I thank you so much for being with us on this. I want to say a couple things. I was involved with MTA. I know I got, 1 second, involved with MTA in crafting these words. Please take out entirety of, I agree. That's the #1 issue. We've got to take that out. 2, we concede the regulation part because the issue is not that. The issue is to make sure that they can, the therefore is corporations are not people, money is not free speech, and therefore we can regulate it. The election money, the election campaign money, that's the issue there. Okay. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
If I'm just trying to articulate that as I go. And thank you so much.
Sure. Suzanne?
Thank you.
You, Suzanne?
I am Suzanne. I'd like to thank Councilman Garcetti and everyone for bringing this forward. I support the resolution. I support the stronger language that Mary Beth Fielder promoted. I don't think I can be any more eloquent than those who've already spoken before me. The reasons are clear to anybody who isn't a corporation that it's not healthy for this country or democracy. So I'd like to emphasize again something that this gentleman next to me said. This is my first time here. It was very inconvenient for me to try and get here. I had to take time off work. Driving down here was quite a long way, but I feel so strongly about this. And what I really want to emphasize again is that I represent probably thousands of other people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people who feel exactly as strongly. Everyone I spoke to this morning when I said I was coming, like, great, is the thing that people are so fired up about. I represent the waking beast. This is an issue that is not going away. I've never been down here before, and I'll be back here again and again until this is done.
Okay, we have Gilbert Salcedo, Carlos Marroquin, and Chris Durian. Gilbert? Gilbert?
Chris.
Carlos. Carlos. Oh, go ahead, Carlos.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Alarcon, thank you for having us here today. I'm representing homeowners that have been victimized by the banks. I had a little speech prepared, but I want to talk to you about Mary Gonzalez, which is in the hospital today after the six major surgeries she has. She has gone to court many times, and the judges refuse to even look at the fraudulent paperwork that has been produced by the banks, and they are a victim from her home. This case goes on and on throughout the United States. Corporations continue to criminalize families across America. And if they want to have the same rights as citizens, they need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Chris?
Good afternoon. Thank you for bringing this resolution forward. I support the amended resolution read earlier. I'm a member of the Subcommittee on Ending Corporate Personhood, which is a working group of the Objectives and Demands Committee sanctioned by the General Assembly of Occupy Los Angeles. And as a member of that committee, I just want to say for the record that ending corporate personhood is one of the most frequently submitted objectives or demands into our box at Occupy Los Angeles, and is generally accepted as one of the top 5 principles that unify our movement. We would also agree and support the language that was read earlier. I don't need to go over that again. I would like to make a couple of points that maybe haven't been made in this way yet. Corporations are not mentioned in the Constitution. The people never granted constitutional rights to corporations, but individual courts have illegitimately done so. There is a difference between legitimately interpreting the law and redefining what it means to be a person. Next, our solution must be comprehensive and systemic. We must remember that those who believe that the part of the Constitution that defined persons as property was fundamentally immoral. They didn't call for ending one or two parts of slavery or to regulate slavery, but for the abolition of the institution of slavery. The reverse, defining property as people, is also fundamentally immoral and is a threat to real people, all other life forms, and the planet. Thank you very much.
Is Gilbert Salcedo back? Okay. We have Megan Wade Antio, Carol Green, and Michael Oren or Dren. Megan.
Yes. My name's Megan Wade Antio. I likewise am very encouraged that the revised language has been proposed. I agree with that and agree that we also need a constitutional amendment in this country to abolish corporate personhood. I would like to speak from maybe a personal experience. I work at a local independent bookstore here in Los Angeles, Skylight Books. I'm not speaking for the store, but my colleagues and I experience every day what it is for these large multinational corporations to come in and to use these legal rights that they were illegitimately given in combination with their vast amounts of capital to
run over the competition to destroy local businesses in our communities. And I think that what is at stake here is not just some sort of legal doctrine, it's our ability to create the types of communities, to have thriving local businesses, walkable neighborhoods. Those things are at stake here in an issue like this. And I think that's something we shouldn't forget, especially as we begin to get pushback as you all go forward with this resolution. That's what's at stake. We want livable communities for all people here. And then if we want to do that, we need to get rid of corporate constitutional rights.
Carol?
Hi, I'm Carol Green. I've never been here before, and somehow or other I got here, and I am thrilled at what's going on today in this room, and thank you all. I just want to cite how many ways, let me count the ways, that corporations affect our lives that we are completely unaware of. They limit tort reform, meaning damage reform, in medical issues. George Bush was declared president by his cousin, who was the news director for Fox News that day. And the other networks followed suit because they were getting beat in the ratings by Fox. In terms of when the Iraq, so George Bush gets in, he declares the Iraq War. A lot of us don't believe the WMD story, which turned out to be false. A group of us were sending press releases to the media. Clear Channel, which is clearly a conservative and national, very well-moneyed group, declined to accept a press release with the word peace in it. Just a couple of examples.
Michael Dren or Oren? After Michael, we have Matthew Schildkret. Thank you. Armand Omar Pai. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Councilman.
Michael.
I just want to say this is a great start. We got a long way to go. We started the new beginning. It started at Wall Street. Well, actually, it started in the spring over in North Africa. Now it's global. Things have drastically got to change in this country and worldwide, or the people are going to get so restless. It's good that you're listening to the people. God bless you all.
Matthew?
Hello, my name is Matthew Schildkret. I'm a former staff member from the White House Council on Environmental Quality, the resident urban planner. And I will tell everyone here that the shift that is happening on this planet is a vibrational shift. It has little to do with the bureaucracy that exists today. And I'm going to urge this council to not flip-flop and to listen to the people and to act articulately and quickly. What has happened is obviously fraudulent. The politics that exist today, from the federal government to state, local governments, is bought out. And I will tell you that the movement that I'm a part of that exists will not stop. I personally have nothing left to lose. And I will tell you to act articulate and be a man and be a woman and give the children of earth what is once taken from them and give it back to them. Clean water, shelter, food, and the ability to not be commoditized, and the ability to live peacefully on this planet and treat the earth as a person.
Thank you. Okay, our last three speakers are Armand Omar Pai, Joel Johnson, and David Troy.
Good. Thank you for inviting all of us here. And by the way, my name is Armand Omar P. As a student here in the city of Los Angeles, one of the things that we got to take consideration of as we're trying to tread away this corporate stronghold is to have a long road to reconstruct our local communities through education. I mean, it's about time that we should bring civic educations back to our public schools. And for one thing, you know, the corporation has the nerve to pretty much do the best to de-educate the youth and regarding the education of politics, as well as very important issues that our community needs to notify. So I feel that we got to bring back the civics through our public schools. Thank you.
Joel?
Oh, my name is Joel Johnson. I just want to thank you for everything you're doing. It's sincerely appreciated. I've not been here before, but this issue has struck a chord with me and finally offers a solution that I have felt in my soul and have been aching for a long time. So I quickly lined out and had to scratch out many of the things I wanted to say as other people covered them. So I just want to add my voice to those that have already spoken. I want to encourage you to adopt the stronger resolution wording that you last read. I also want to resonate the statement that this is the most critical issue facing our national community at this time. And I encourage you to take a strong and unwavering action to see it through. And finally, I hope to make a point by asking if there's anybody in this room that is not in support of this resolution or wishes to adopt softer wording. And by that silence, I think there is not. And for that, I'll say thank you.
Okay, David Troy.
I'm David Troy. I'm very glad to be here, and I want to honor the council because I know they're going to pass it, and they the stronger version. I'm with Veterans for Peace. I've been active in I'm with Topanga Peace Alliance, several things. I've been out there at Arlington West for 7 years. I understand what's going on with our country. I've thought about it, talked about many people. Election protection, I've been involved in that. You men, if you do this, you're patriots. And I don't mean that lightly, because this is a big deal. This really needs to happen. And if it includes you guys don't take any funding anymore, if the city would eliminate all funding from corporate, would be really a wonderful addition. 1888 is when it happened. The revolution began in 1888 with corporate personhood. The last nail in the coffin of democracy occurred with Citizens United. The revolution is complete. We, the corporation, in order to form a more perfect union. Until this is changed. So we need patriots, and thank you for that. Woodrow Wilson was elected by bank money. What happens when we don't have our country under the control of people? Woodrow Wilson claimed at the end of his life that he felt he had betrayed our country by signing the Federal Reserve Act. He was right. It stands in front of you people. At this point, you look very much like you're going to be patriots.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sheila, we do have a new card. Sheila Goldner. Sheila Goldner.
My life has been inextricably linked with corporations. I have worked as a word processor for several of the largest law firms in the city. As an at-will employee, they could fire me without a reason. And that's basically what I had to say. Anyway.
Thank you. Okay, I'm reminded of a bill I introduced in the state legislature that would have made it illegal for one board member of a corporation to sue another board member if that board member was doing something for the public good, making a decision for the corporation that was contrary to their financial interest. like saving a bay or protecting wildlife or protecting a forest. But that didn't make it out of committee. And so today, corporation board members can sue other board members just because they stood up and said, we as a corporation can do better by society than just look at the financial bottom line. When corporations were created, they were created to provide a social benefit under the law. That's why, in order for a corporation to exist, it must have the authorization of government. Over time, they have whittled away at their responsibilities to obtain a social benefit. By the way, the reason they were created was primarily to advance our social well-being, like by creating bridges or highways or railroads when the liability would have been so high because in constructing those, people were injured and killed quite often. But in order to keep up with the Industrial Revolution, they needed a non-human entity to be able to absorb the liability. So they created corporations. And over time, the legal responsibility of the corporation shifted from a social benefit to a fiduciary responsibility to focus on profit-taking as their primary motivation. So corporations ain't what they used to be. And, corporations as a concept are not necessarily bad. What fundamentally flaws, and I say that because my wife is a corporation and I don't want her to be angry with me, but she doesn't want her corporation to spend independent expenditure money. I mean, that's not her goal in life. But the fundamental driving force behind corporations is greed. And that's why at the peak of the protections on corporations, to provide them with, to shield them from anything other than striving to obtain profit, we see the widest gap between the haves and the have-nots. And I believe there's a direct correlation between the two. So I'm also reminded of HAL in 2001 Space Odyssey. I never understood HAL when I was a young teenager and that movie came out. I never quite understood what the heck was HAL. But HAL was corporations. HAL was greed. It was an entity that shielded itself from the human beings that created it. And it continued to expand its power until the human beings had no more power. So I'm very pleased that Councilmember Garcetti and Bill Rosendahl introduced this resolution. I'm very happy to add the amendments to it that were recommended by the people. Because I don't want to see Mickey Mouse running for president. But that is theoretically in the future. Could a corporation run for president? It already did. If they can define themselves as human beings, then they could define themselves as a political candidate. And I believe the Supreme Court erred, and we have to stand up against what I believe is a growing frustration that we are not controlling those things that are destroying our quality of life. The quality of life being a strong middle class with decent economic resources, to be able to provide a home, a good education, good health to their children. And that's all. Not mansions with elaborate swimming pools. I mean, nothing wrong with, it used to be millionaires were the thing. Now it's billionaires. Well, we have something like 70,000 millionaires in Los Angeles. And, they're not even in the 1%, most of them. When we talk about 1%, we're talking about a lot of money that is unfathomable. I can't even say the word. So with that, it's my pleasure to send this on to City Council with a recommendation for approval with the amendments as stated. We'll work with the City Clerk to get the language correct. And there is no other council member here, so this will be a communication from the chairman and will be considered in council at the next opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. The meeting is still going on. I have other business to do.
Sorry.
You don't have to stay, but I do have to finish my work. Okay, items number 2 through 7 are outdated recommendations related to legislation that is now passed or otherwise disposed of. So I'd like to receive and file those items.
So, Councilman?
Note and file those items.
Yes, note and file.
Excuse me.
John Wiggum with CLA's office. I think the city clerk would like me to clearly state that these are legislative proposals from the 2009-2010 legislative sessions in Sacramento, Washington, D.C. Those legislative sessions have closed, so these policy recommendations are no longer active. So note and file or receive and file would be appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there was an item number 3 that we received a card on. So did I err by taking action on that?
No, you can take the card and.
Okay, Antonio Ramirez.
Oh, thank you very much. One moment, please. One moment.
I just want to let you know that this matter is just noted and filed because the
This is our
action is no longer pertinent.
Okay, number 3, yes. Intergovernmental relations, reneging on Americans in serious education by Uniting Programs Act would be catastrophic and political suicide, like it will be for Governor Jerry Brown, who signed the DREAM Act 2, free education bill for illegal criminal aliens, which includes gangbangers. But I ask, does this bill include the military veteran youths, which should not alienate the needs of the military veterans and pilots, older youths, who are in grave need of education, re-education, housing, jobs, transportation, health, and mental needs assessment? So let us welcome them with open arms and provide them resources, housing, and jobs stat. A voucher to immediately get them housed and jobs immediately. Have different tents set up with the following free sources. Remember, freedom is not free. They all have earned it. So at every tent, they will be set up with specific services, i.e. mental health evaluations, vision with free glasses, dental with free cleaning, clothing, shoes, toiletries, monthly bus passes, watches, durable, transistor radios with headphones, and other things.
Thank you. Don't leave. Okay, item number 3 is received and is noted and
Noted and filed. Yes, this
Okay.
bill is dead. It did not pass out of the Congress.
Thank you. Okay, then we move on to the public comment section of the meeting. I have one public comment card. Yes,
moment.
Antonio Ramirez.
Thank you very much. One moment, please, before I start. Okay, this is part 2 of item number 1.
No. You can't talk about an item on the agenda. This is public comment.
Well, this is my own opinion.
No, but you cannot express an opinion relative to a matter that's been on the agenda.
Well, it's opinion that came in from the city council, so I brought it in.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about item number 1 on this agenda?
City council.
City
this
council
morning.
agenda?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, couldn't get to speak, so, I kind of.
I
Yeah.
guess you can talk about it.
So, the LA City's most notably willful, vicious, and pathological liars are Dennis Zine, the LA City attorneys, and many Latino politicos who have engaged in a retaliatory Gestapo tactics with bad faith and unfair dealings, with fear and intimidation against me and others for openly speaking on the truth. I'm sad to say that, but I'm compelled to speak about this. These uncivilized and vengeful measures that they recklessly assert gives rise to a wave of violence, bullying, and criminal actions against us. And in the end, you, the LA City, is also a corporation, and who will be held culpable, liable, and punished for your malfeasance. Furthermore, I'm here to pierce the corporate veil within the rule of law. And then I'm asking again that all of us have a different mindset. We come with different experiences. Whether you like me or not, I'm not going to cry. I don't get mushy. But you know what? I don't care if you hate me, but allow me the freedom to have my dignity expressed. That's all I ask.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
With that, there's no more items on the agenda and no more cards, so this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.